All right, welcome to our marketing broadcast tonight. I want to address a concern that I get from my clients time and time again who particularly are working on their own little affiliate website, informational type website. So that's who this is more catered to, but this should be useful for most of you guys anyway. Even you guys that have e-commerce blogs or e-commerce websites, usually you have a blog portion of your business, and this is going to apply very well to that too. Um, so let me put it this way: you've got a niche website, right? And I'm going to give you an example of one right now that I'm considering starting. I think I've mentioned to some of you guys that we this year, my wife and I had recently got into beekeeping as a little side hobby. So this is something that we've been learning and having fun with this year. Well, in the beekeeping space, there is a tremendous demand for information about the hobby on the internet, as you can imagine, which is kind of how I got into it. I got online and searched and watched videos and read blogs and so on and so forth. Um, and with a demand in information, that should be an opportunity for us as internet marketers, right? Because I can create my own website, fill it full of great information around the beekeeping hobby, and if I market it correctly and create some great content, I can make some money off of that website, right? So let me give you an example. This is going to be kind of like and I may even create this site soon so we can do this together, but this is kind of like a micro niche site. I could create a site just on beekeeping, right? um, which is sort of a broader topic, or I could go sort of micro niche within that, and build out a site on sort of more of a specific area in beekeeping, so that it's easier for me just to focus and specialize. Um, which is probably what I'll do for this example. Now, some of you said, "Well, is my niche that I've chosen too broad?" No, I'm sure it's not. But for this example, I may do something a little more specific, a little more tailored, um, so that I can focus just on one area. And what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to create a site, believe it or not, just about beekeeping suits. Okay, what am I talking about? With you guys probably know, right? You guys have seen these. Allow me to introduce you to a beekeeping suit. These things right here. You look a bit like a spaceman or a spacewoman, right? In this case, as we're looking at a lady in a beekeeping suit. They're kind of funny looking, right? But I'm telling you, after having done just even a little bit of research, and I'll show you the research that I've done, there is a tremendous amount of interest in these beekeeping suits, okay? And not just interest in people wanting to buy them. People want to learn about what material is best, and they want to learn about sizing, and should they get the full suit, or should they do just sort of like the half suit, and what about the veil? There's different types of veils, and do I really get fully protected when I'm wearing one of these, or can I still get stung, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to show you how I found all that information. Okay, so there's all these questions out there about this. Well, like we've talked about, if I have this website that simply answers many of these questions and answers them very well, I stand to be able to profit off of this really very well, and create sort of an automated passive income type website. Okay, so here's what I did to give you an idea. And I guess going back to my original point, because these are things that we've talked about before. Um, I guess what I want you to get out of this training is when there's a whole plethora of things that you could create content about, and you have so many options, there's a way that you can decide and prioritize what content you create first. Okay? I just rattled off 6 or 7 things that I could write about here. There's many more, but how do I know what content to focus on first so that I can be profitable sooner? And that's the answer that I want to provide you guys with tonight. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? That's the answer to the question that I get a lot from you guys is what content should I prioritize first? Using this example, I hope to answer that question. So let me show you what I would do first, okay? If this is my niche and this is my area of emphasis, here's where I tend to like to go. I still would start my whole entire project here using keywordtool.io, okay? Write that down if you're not familiar with it. I know many of you are familiar with this tool, but here's what I love most about it. This tool is going to tell us the most commonly searched for terms within Google. So I'm just going to simply type in bee suit, okay, just the core of what I'm trying to do. Type in bee suit and do a search, okay? Now this is a paid tool if I want all of the data, which I don't want you to do. I simply just want you to use the free tool. So you guys will notice, of course, here you have the keywords column, and then you have these other columns, search volume, CPC, AdWords competition, that are blurred out. Those are only for the paid tool. I'm not going to recommend you use those. In fact, this is really all we need right here, okay? Now, I'm doing this because I want to see what kind of things people are looking for as it relates to a bee suit. So help me understand this, guys. I want to understand user intent for just a minute. Okay, if somebody types in bee suit Amazon, please tell me, those of you who are here live, read that person's mind who types in bee suit Amazon. What are they looking to do, or what do they want out of Google if they're doing a search for that? I suppose this is fairly obvious, but I'm still going to ask you anyway. They want to see bee suits on Amazon. Yes? Okay. Well, it'll get a little more difficult than that. Okay, what about the second one here? Bee suit rental. Can we deduce what they're looking for based on what they typed in here? Somebody just wants to rent a bee suit. Simple enough, right? Bee suit Lowe's. Same thing. They want a bee suit from the company Lowe's. Bee suit reviews. What do we know about the person that's typing in bee suit reviews? Well, they're looking for a review of some kind of bee suits. They're probably in the research phase, right? Yeah, Robert, I agree. They're researching. They're in the market to buy one of these, but they don't know what they want to buy yet. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking these are tremendous keyword phrases, right? Because if I actually have this website whose sole focus is simply on the bee suit, and I can provide pages to answer all of these search queries, right? So imagine this with me, and don't laugh at me as I try to draw with my mouse here. Let's pretend for a minute that this page right here represents my home page, okay? This is my home page for my new bee suit site, okay? And I'm trying to decide right now what all of my pages should be about. Well, according to this, I'll probably want a page for, this will be my Amazon page, which means that when somebody types in bee suit Amazon, I want to get that searcher to actually come into my website first. And what would I do there? I would actually probably have a page on my website that's focused on Amazon that would sort of bring in some Amazon affiliate ads for bee suits and list them all right there, which I could do. So instead of the person going right to Amazon, they would click in onto my website right here, okay? They searched out here on, we'll call this the World Wide Web, and they typed in the search bar, into the search bar right here, which is, in this case, Google. They typed in that keyword phrase, and Google is going to send them there. I can monetize this, guys. See, I can make money if they find me here, right? because I'm going to add my affiliate ads, and I'm going to put some interesting content about only Amazon and only bee suits on that page. I'm going to rank for it, and therefore I'm going to make money off of that. See, and that's just one page of my site. So then I'm going to make another page, right? And this page right here is going to be about what? Well, based on my research here, maybe that's my bee suit reviews page, right? Maybe I have this page that has this really in-depth analysis of all the different styles and materials, and it's just really well done, and it explains, the pros and cons of the different types of suits and veils and materials, and where to get them, and I can put my affiliate ads in those places. I can start driving that traffic from Google to that page of my site, so on and so forth, to where I'm going to have literally hundreds of these pages right here, aren't I? Of content, right? These are pages here on my site, hundreds of them, and Google just keeps filtering that traffic over to me, right? So that's the basic concept here. That's the business plan for this site. But the challenge here is, which one of these keyword phrases and pages do I do first, right? Is there a way for me to evaluate that? And yes, there is. But to start that process, what I'd like to see you do as step one, and I'm going to write this down just right here, step one in this whole process so you guys can follow along. Find real keyword phrases that people are typing into Google, okay? And I'm going to put in parentheses here, keywordtool.io. Because this tool right here, which we are currently using, is going to tell us the most commonly typed in phrases, okay? So on and so forth. Bee suit for dogs, believe it or not, gets typed in. These are real searches. Bee suits eBay, bee suit meme, bee suit sizing, bee suit Austin. So there's some local search phrases here. In fact, as you go through this, bee suit AU, ventilated bee suit Australia. Okay, will a bee suit work for a wasp? I can have content for all of these different pages. I just have to decide what's going to work best. So I'm going to make a list of these keywords that I find that I think would be relevant. But remember, bee suit is just the core term that I've used right now. What happens if I did beekeeper suit and did a search? Although that may mean the same, bee suit and beekeeper suit are really synonymous with one another. They mean the same thing. But to the search engine, they're a different search altogether. So I really need to look at these keywords too. Beekeeper suit for sale. Beekeeper suit Amazon. Beekeeper suit reviews. So I need to optimize for these various ones, okay? So I've got my list here, right? I'm maybe making some notes, and what you may want to do is just pull out a document like this and make notes of the ones that you'd like to get rankings for soon, right? Amazon or bee suit Amazon was one, and whatever. Bee suit reviews and beekeeper suit reviews, so on and so forth. You might make just a raw list of the ones that stick out to you. Are there any here that I wouldn't want to rank for? That's a question you should ask yourself. Are there any of these that maybe I wouldn't want my site to show up for? And so far, I can't really see anything I wouldn't want my site to rank for. Okay, maybe I have a page on my site. You see Beekeeper Suit Canada. Maybe I have a page completely dedicated to my Canadian searchers out there. And then on that page of my site, I give them options for where to find beekeeper suits in Canada, or who are the best suppliers in Canada. I'm going to offer that information for free on my site, right? Now, I know some of you guys who are maybe new to this are wondering, well, you're not selling anything off this site, right? So how are you making money? Well, you're right. I'm simply just creating a useful, informational site on the internet that is drawing people in that have questions about beekeeping suits, right? Seems a little silly, doesn't it? But if I'm getting a lot of this traffic that's coming in, My opportunity to make money is going to be off of the advertisements and the links that I can post on those pages. And it does, in fact, work, and it works very well. So anyway, I'll spare us the details of making a big, long list right here as we go. Rather, after you have step one completed and you've got a decent-sized list, guys, let me ask you, and some of you may know the answer to this question, how do I then evaluate these keywords to decide which ones are going to be most valuable to me? So I know which content I should create first. Yeah, use a tool like Moz. Now, I prefer Moz. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to use this keyword explorer again, and I want to show you how I've used it and kind of help you understand how I would make decisions on what content I would create first. Okay. So let's do this one first. I think one of ours on our list here was B-Suit reviews. So let's do that. B-Suit reviews, and we'll do a search here. This is Moz.com/explorer. You have to be a Moz Pro member, or at least be on the free trial to have access to this. Otherwise, you have to pay for it. From what I understand, if you're not a Pro member, then you can still do up to 3, I want to say. I can't remember exactly. I think it's 3 free keyword analysis searches every day. All right, so I just did the search, B-Suit reviews. Somebody evaluate the numbers here for me. This is what we talked about last week, but here's the analytics that come up. What do you think about this keyword phrase? Is it any good? Is it something I should focus on? Certainly, I should collect this data somewhere. Now, the document I'm using here isn't the best for data collection. I should probably be using a spreadsheet. But what I could do for B-Suit reviews right here is I could say, I could create a little formula, I suppose, and I could say volume 11 to 50. So I could go V 11 to 50, difficulty 27, D 27. 83 opportunity, 48 potential. So 83 and 43, 48. See that? Okay. So I've got some pretty interesting stats right here. Good one, bad one, or how do we evaluate it? So let's look at each metric real quick. Volume, what does 11 to 50 mean? 11 to 50 right here. Somebody explain that to me. What's the intuition behind this number? Yeah, it's with a 95% confidence, it's how many people will have searched for B-Suit reviews in the space of a month on Google. So somewhere between 11 and 50 people per month are searching for this now. Okay? Is that a lot of people? No. Relatively speaking, no. But nonetheless, there are real people looking for this, right? So, okay, fair enough. Now, difficulty is 27. How's that number? It's not bad, right? 27. Now lower is better. So 100 would be basically meaning it's impossible for me to break onto the first page of Google. A number of 27 is a very reasonable number, something that I think would be achievable on a very simply built informational site. So I think that's a pretty decent number there. Opportunity is 83. Guys, why is opportunity 83? What does opportunity mean anyway? Well, if we go to Google, and we type in our our keyword phrase, which is bee suit reviews. Opportunity basically means that there's a fairly good chance that if we broke onto the first page that we get clicked on, because as you can see, these are the organic free results right here. We could be somewhere in here, or we could be somewhere in here. Google seems to think that there's a good chance that we'll get clicked on if we're on the first page. So that's really what opportunity means. I want to make that clear. Higher the opportunity, the better the chances that if we break onto the first page of Google that we'll get clicked on. So we want that number to be higher, so that's a positive. Now the potential basically takes all of this stuff that we've already looked at, volume, difficulty, and opportunity, and basically says, you know, we're going to give you what we think is a potential number, which is like, hey, this is an overall score of the keyword phrase. I get a 48. Why is it not real high? Probably because of this number right here. The volume isn't real high, right? It's not really overly popular. But see, I'm going to record all of this data, and I'm going to record it in a place where I'm comfortable. Some of you might be more comfortable recording it by hand on a piece of paper. Some of you might be more comfortable with a little Word document like this, and others may want to put it in a spreadsheet. Can I just emphasize, however it's comfortable for you, record that data and have it ready, so that as I go through this list here, and we're going to do a couple more real quick, but as I go through my big list of keyword phrases, which in my mind represent potential topics and pages that I'm going to be creating on my blog, each of those keywords represented by these right here, right, that we just created, I'm just simply trying to figure out what I should be creating content about first, so that I'm not just shooting from the hip all the time. So that I'm not thinking, well, today, as I sit there and think about what kind of content I should create, I think I'll just write something about beekeeping suit materials. Is that, is there really a lot of interest in that kind of a keyword search? Is it hard to get onto the first page of Google? How many people are really typing that in a month's time? These are things I should know before I'm building out my content on my blog. And so I'm suggesting you guys should be organizing this and doing the very same thing. Okay? Is that clear so far? Is that making sense how we're going to prioritize our content based on this? Excellent. Most of you guys are seemingly agreeing with me here. Stop me though if something is unclear, okay? By the end of this whole exercise, and when you do it on your own, for your own niche website, you should be able to then have a plan about what kind of content you create over time, okay? Let's do another keyword phrase. So we got the numbers there. Let's do bee suit Amazon. And notice too on this tool, they give us keyword suggestions right here. So based on what I typed in here with bee suit reviews, I could come in and see Moz's other suggestions about what I might be interested in. So anyway, I can see, and it actually shows it to me via volume here. I can sort of filter by that, and I could filter this up or down. If I filter it by the most popular things, I'm going to find some really sort of irrelevant keywords here. Beekeeping equipment is very popular. How about this one? Beekeeper suit. Check out the volume on this. That's pretty solid, right? Why don't we try that? Beekeeper suit. Let's add this to my list here. Okay, how do the numbers look? Let's go to the overview on it. Volume is tremendous. Well, kind of. Hold on. I thought it was better than that. Beekeeper suit, yeah. Anyway, it's only giving me a score of 165 to 200 here. I'm gonna take that for being the real score. 165 to 200, which means what, guys? In comparison to our other one, this is awfully small. Let me zoom in on my document here. There you go. How's that? That's probably much better, isn't it? 165 to 200. Which means, again, let's just stop. This means what in relation to bee suit reviews? Beekeeper suit as a keyword phrase is 3 to 4 times more popular, or even more than that, depending on what side of the 11 to 50 it falls on. But it's way more popular, right? That's the point. I suppose if I were ranking well in Google for this, I would get a lot more traffic than I would for this. So it's definitely more popular. The difficulty, however, is a bit more difficult. It's a 38. My opportunity is not as high at a 54. And then my potential is at a 51. Okay. So fair enough. So if we review each of these spots, it's much more popular. It's definitely more difficult. It's got less opportunity, but more potential. Why does it have less opportunity? Why does this one have 83 and this one supposedly just have 54? Anybody know? How is opportunity measured again, guys? This is the one that's a little more confusing. Remember what opportunity represents, okay? Opportunity represents that if you found yourself fortunate enough to be on the first page of Google, opportunity represents how likely it is that you'll be clicked on because of other distractions that Google puts up. Higher opportunity means higher likelihood of a click-through. Lower opportunity means lower opportunity of a click-through. And it's mostly because on lower opportunity ones, Google is putting up paid advertisements and Google image searches and videos. You just don't have as much of a chance to get clicked on, right? Let's just look at it. Beekeeper suit. Let's Google it. All right, so what you'll notice is you'll see ads here, which lowers my opportunity. I'm seeing shopping over here, which lowers my opportunity. See, these all represent potential distractions. I see images here, which lowers my opportunity. I see normal listings here, which ups my opportunity because this is going to be where I rank. And then I see more ads down here, which lowers my opportunity. So according to this page of results, they're basically counting the number of distractions and based on that, giving me what they think my potential click-through is going to be like, okay? So apparently, based on the Moz analytics, this one has more distractions because there's less opportunity, okay? And then the overall potential is the aggregate of these numbers right here, basically giving us what Moz thinks is the potential opportunity here. Or sorry, I shouldn't use the word opportunity. Just we'll call it just potential of the keyword phrase. Okay, at a 51. Based on this, which one would you focus on? Oh, now that's an interesting question there, Oliver. Let's talk about that. All right, so listen to this, everybody. Here's what Oliver says. Oliver says, but how do you write content for a page on the general category of beekeeper suit as opposed to bee suit reviews? Now, if I were creating content for bee suit reviews, that's very obvious what I would do, right? I would simply review the different suits that are out there. Now, you might stop me and say, Trevor, how can you review the different suits? Have you tried them all? No, I have one suit of my own, so I could review the suit I have. How would I review the others? Well, I would get onto Amazon and I'd look up reviews of other suits, and I would look up other review pages that might already be out there on the internet, because they're out there. I could find the content for that, regurgitate it, format it in my own way, and put it on my own page, and outrank the existing competition with the right type of SEO and the right type of work on my site. That's fairly straightforward what I would do for that page. But what about this page? What would I create for a page like that? I guess the question you have to ask yourself, Oliver, is look into your crystal ball and look into the minds of the 165 to 200 people that are searching for that each month. What are they looking for when they type in beekeeper suit? Well, what do you think? What kind of content on the internet do they want to see? Do you remember when we first started this webinar and we were talking at the beginning, and I was talking to you guys about a beekeeper suit, and I said, hey, do you even know what I'm talking about? And then what did I do? I did a search for it, didn't I? And why did I do a search for it? I did a search for that keyword phrase because I just wanted to show you guys on my webinar what one looked like. Do you think there's a chance of the 165 to 200 that maybe somebody is just looking for a picture of one, right? Possibly. I was one of those just barely a few minutes ago. What percentage of the 165 to 200 are people who are looking to buy it? I don't know. It's impossible for us to say. We just have to give our best guess. But if they're typing that in, it could be one of many things. And since it's a more general keyword phrase, maybe when I create my content for that page, I do something more general on it. Maybe at the top of my page, I have some links to some pictures. And then maybe there in the middle of my page, I have some links to where people could shop for them. And then maybe at the bottom, I talk about the different materials. It would be more of just kind of a real general page, I would think, because that's a very general search, and it's very hard for me to pinpoint what exactly they want. All right, would you agree with that? Does that kind of make sense? That's right. They just want some overview, maybe. People are becoming smarter searchers as time goes by. People are looking for things more specifically, and so for those that don't, we have to assume maybe they're obviously interested in a beekeeper suit, but what aspect of that, we don't really know. So maybe we create a general page of content. Yep. And what would be great about this particular one is I would probably do this a bit later, and I'll tell you why. Since my site would be brand new right now, I don't have much content around my site about beekeeper suits, right? So, but what if later on I did, right? So maybe here in the next 6 weeks, I've already done maybe a page on my site showing pictures, and I've got a page with reviews, and I've got a page with, materials. And then what I do on this page is I simply have a couple paragraphs and then links to my other pages. So it's like, hey, I know you're interested in beekeeper suits, but hey, by the way, if you're interested in pictures, click here. If you're interested in buying one, click here. If you're interested in learning about the different materials, click here. If you want to see a funny video with somebody wearing one, click here, right? I make it kind of this little table of contents type page. So for that reason, guys, I think I would start with this one. I know it's not as popular, but it's not as difficult, and I think it'd be a good one to do. So I think as a whole here, if you're seeing this on a larger scale, it's kind of hard to do in a 30-minute training, but I would go through hundreds of these keyword phrases, and I would do the analysis on them just like we're doing now. And then I would simply maybe rank what I felt like I'd like to write on first. So let me go back just to our notes just momentarily. We said step 1 was to use that keyword tool.io. We're going to say step 2 is use moz.com/explorer to evaluate your keyword phrases. Okay. Then step 3 is to simply prioritize, okay? Meaning, which ones am I going to create content around first, right? And then I would like to say step 4 is to make a schedule. Meaning you need to look at your schedule after you've got this really great list of keyword phrases and you've evaluated them, and now you know their different scores and their different analytics, and then you say, okay, well, based on that, number 3, I'm going to prioritize, and I want to write content about this one first, then this one, then this one, then this one. Once I've got that done, then I got to do it, right? Then the real work begins. Then I got to get in there and create my content and do a good job. And so how much can I create? I don't know. I mean, if I actually do this project, which I'm flirting with, I'm busy just like you guys are, right? I've got consulting and I've got other businesses, and most importantly, I've got my family, and I've got all these things that are going on in my life. I just simply need to make a schedule and say, well, if I want to make this project viable, I'm going to do 2 pages of content and 2 keyword phrases every week. And over the course of the year, I'm going to have over 100 articles on this site. And if I'm doing my marketing correctly and I'm doing a little bit of optimization and my content is fantastic, there's a really good chance that I'll be getting some decent traffic, right? Now, does it need to take a year? No, but I'm just giving you an idea. If I did 2 a week, I would have over 100, and we'd like to build this site as big as it possibly can be. I hear you, Kirk. I do. Kirk says it's been tough while working at the new job. You're still doing your internet marketing now, aren't you, Kirk? Last time I remember, you'd said that that's exactly what you were doing. Which is pretty cool, by the way. Can I just share that with all of you guys real quick? So Kirk and I have been working together for what? Maybe over a year, right? I'd have to look back at the date, but Kirk got involved in this, like a lot of you guys, just trying to make some money online. And, we've been working at a website and did some eBay stuff. And eventually Kirk, because of what he learned here and his interest in internet marketing, went out and got a job in the industry. Kirk does this for a living now, for just a little marketing company, right? Yeah. So, just so you guys know, like, the primary purpose of this whole program is, of course, to help educate you guys to get your own companies off the ground. But a little fringe benefit of this might be that in the end, if you wanted to, you could probably go get a job in the internet marketing industry because you would know enough, right? So anyway, thanks for letting me tell everybody that, Kirk. Anyway, let's just we probably should finish up. So I'm just going to say make a schedule, and then step 5. And I got to say this, no excuses, right? I mean, do you know that you're not the only one who's busy? All of us are, aren't we? I mean, there's not very many of my clients that I meet with every week that say, "Hey, Trevor, I didn't get a lot of work done this week because I just forgot, or I just didn't want to." Most of you guys are like, "I didn't get work done because I'm working, or I've got kids, or I've got other obligations," and we're all busy, but no excuses, right? Like, you want to make some money online. It's time to make some sacrifices and make your schedule. If it's 2 blog posts a week creating content, great, do it then. If it's 3, or even if it's just 1 every 2 weeks, stick to your schedule, and over time the consistency will actually build something pretty cool. Okay? All right, well, let me see if I missed anything. All right, good. Guys, are there any lingering questions before we finish up? Was this a helpful sort of case study for you? Wanted to give you a real life example of even something that I would consider doing. And you know why I would consider doing this so much is I looked at the keywordtool.io, and there's certainly a lot of demand for this information. And I've got some interest in it because it's something I like to do. Those two things work hand in hand, and I just feel like there's an opportunity here. Now I just need to do exactly what I shared with you guys tonight, and stop making excuses, right? And put this to action and get some things done. So you guys can hold me accountable. I'm not sure if I'll do it on this topic right now. You guys remember, some of you guys that have been with me through these trainings in over the past 6 months or so. I started out I was going to do that strawberry example, but with the name and potential copyright issues on that particular idea, I didn't want to do it. So I'm just I want to do something along the side, you guys, and I don't want to use one of my other sites. I've done this before, but it's not as valuable because it's on a site that I've had since 2008. So it's hard for me to kind of bring it back to when it got started at its grassroots. I want to show it to you like you guys are doing it now. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad this was helpful. Thanks for coming along, everybody. Kyle, I would love to call. I'm actually in meetings for the majority of the rest of the night, although I did see your email, so I will be getting back to you as soon as I can. For those of you guys who want to learn more about this, come along next week. We'll be talking more about it on our Thursday night webinars. Okay? Thanks again for coming, and we will see you guys soon.